On a serious note, we all know you as what's his name, that guy, the Frozen guy.
As what's his name? Yes. Yes.
How did you make your voice distinctive for this character?
Right. Well, it was funny because at first when the idea of Angry Birds was pitched to me, I was skeptical, to say the least, for a number of reasons. One, I didn't know, that adapting a video game or mobile game in this case lent itself to a movie. And two, I wasn't sure if I wanted to do another animated movie because Frozen is its own thing, and I wanted to keep that distinctly unique. And the producer, John, he presented this 20-minute pitch that was one of the most compelling things I've ever seen in my life. And it wound up being the foundation for the movie. And within a minute of seeing that storyboard, pre-visualized rendering of what he was imagining, I was sold. Because what I realized was the movie is not based... you don't need a comprehensive knowledge, or any knowledge for that matter, of the video game. It exists on its own accords, almost like Lego Movie did, right? Where it's like, the comedy is subversive in many ways, but it's its own unique thing. And the story, while hysterically, wildly funny, actually was grounded by this incredible heart and this great message. This message of these guys, these birds, start off with anger, but during the course of the movie, that anger actually winds up creating a bond between these guys. And as anger often does for positive purposes, when you turn that anger to passion, when you're passionate about, doing what's right, that's a great message to share with people. And that's what won me over. So in terms of doing the movie, that's what attracted me to it. In terms of finding the voice of Chuck and deciphering him from Olaf, as you mentioned, Olaf he's full of childlike wonderment and naivete. Chuck he's like road rage personified. Like he's a speed demon. It's like his mouth can't keep up with his thoughts, and whereas Olaf is all about discovery, Chuck is sort of a know-it-all. And so I found inherently in the character that there was a great chasm between these two that allowed me to really play in a unique setting with him.
Plus the fast talking, I thought, really lent a different dimension.
Yeah, and that was it. I grew up with this. He's now one of my best friends, but my friend David, we used to call Motor Mouth in school. In hindsight, that was not a very nice thing to call him. But he spoke so quickly that you couldn't process it. It was so fast. And in many ways, I kind of based the character on Dave. Now that I'm saying that in public, he's going to ask for a piece of what I make, but so be it.
I know in animation, sometimes you're just alone in a booth acting.
Right.
So how much of that was you alone, and how much were you coming off each other? Like, how often were you with the other actors?
Never.
Never?
No. Most of my animation experiences have been very solitary ones. You'll stand in a booth, and there'll be a glass partition, and the directors and producer in this case will engage with you. A lot of times, if you ask them to, they'll feed you the lines. But even that is rare. You'll kind of go in there and you'll just do line by line. You'll go through it and you'll play around with it. That was the same on Frozen. It's one of those things where it's a rarity to actually get to perform with other people. And it's actually really cool process-wise because you go in there and you do your thing, but then you're sort of like in awe when you see it all come together because it works seamlessly where it looks like everybody's playing off of each other so well. And it's a testament to the creative skill of the people behind the scenes that they make it work so well.
What got you into acting in the first place?
I wanted to sit with mommy bloggers, and I felt like unless I could actually become one myself, like certain people at the table. No, what got me into acting was, it's kind of cliche, but, at a young age, my parents got divorced, And I was really, I found comedy to be a great weapon to undermine that sense of sadness or emptiness in the household. And I found early on that that was a skill that I really was honing in on, and you know, playing these other people was something that I really enjoyed from like my earliest memories. And then when I realized, you know what, I want to make this not only a passion, but I want to make it, you know, my life's work. I took it upon myself to go get the training necessary to do that. So I went to Carnegie Mellon Drama and went to National Institute of Dramatic Arts in Australia, and I just studied and I studied and I studied. And now I'm doing Angry Birds. See? Dreams can come true. Yes.
I graduated from Carnegie Mellon too. And actually,
Did you? Oh, no way.
how do I get over there?
Yes. That's hilarious.
I need to know.
That's
I'm in
amazing.
Australia.
Hey, to each their own. You know, so much of it is luck, right? So much of it is luck. So much of it is passion. 80% of it, thank God, is about talent, right? A lot of the time. But, you know, for me, it was one of those things where I was 3 years removed from college, and I actually was ready to quit the business. I was going to go to law school. And I called up my mother, both my brothers went to law school, and I thought she was going to be so thrilled. And she started crying because she was really upset with me, and I was shocked. I said, "Why are you crying about this? Shouldn't you be happy that your son is actually going to go out and make something of himself?" And she said, "You know, you spent 15 years dreaming of becoming an actor, but only 3 years trying to live out that dream. And I think that that's unfair. I think it's unfair that you're doing that to yourself." And thank God she said that to me, because about 3 weeks later, I got my first big break on Broadway doing Spelling Bee. And I mean, it's one of those things where you just got to pound against the pavement. And a lot of times, as you look at people like Morgan Freeman, you look at people like, you know, Gene Hackman, sometimes it just happens later in life. Sometimes it happens right off the bat. So you never know. Yeah. Keep it up.
So 2 questions. The first is off topic. Are we going to see you and Billy Crystal again?
You'll see us walking the streets of Los Angeles together, occasionally going to restaurants.
With film crew?
You know, I would love to work with Billy again. I mean, he and I have such an incredible rapport, and I've said this before and I'll say it again, he's one of the all-time greats. He's a living legend when there aren't many of them around anymore, you know, and I see him as not only an incredible friend, but an amazing mentor and great collaborator. So it's funny because when we did Comedians with an episode we did with Mel Brooks, Mel asked us, he said, "You know, you guys should come and do The Producers together." And Billy looked at him and he goes, "Mel, we don't really, well, I don't want to star in the 7th production of The Producers." And he goes, "So you don't have to worry about it. It'll be the 8th. So, I mean, I think eventually we'll find our way back into each other's creative lives.
I love that you had the Lopez's on an episode.
Yeah, it was a fun show.
Did the thought of having you do a song in this movie ever come up, or are they waiting for the second movie?
Right. I do sing in it, actually. I have.
They didn't let us see the whole thing.
No, it's sort of like an obligatory thing now. I think in every movie that I do, they're like, "You can sing, so sing in this movie." I'm like, "But it's a drama. It's a silent film. Why am I singing in this?" So yeah, I think, you know, if you're looking for full-on singing, Beauty and the Beast is probably more appropriate for that. But there's some singing in it.
Well, sorry to be a hog. No, I'm not.
These moms are like, "Damn it."
Well, it's between her and I.
Oh, got it.
Regarding the battle cries, we got to see that
Yes.
scene last night. Was there a lot of guidance for that, or could you just go all out, whatever you want?
They just literally said, "We want to hear your craziest battle cry, and what you hear is what I did, and not much more," because my voice was fried after that. I had like laryngitis for 2 days after that. But it was, that's the fun of animation. You do that in a live action film, that movie's gonna bomb opening weekend. But you do it in animation, and the sky is the limit. And I've told this story before, but my first memory of being entranced by the power of animation was watching Robin Williams do the genie in Aladdin, and I was so amazed at what could be accomplished in that form, where quite literally the sky is the limit. And so, to me, it's the reason I keep visiting this format is because as an artist, it gives you great leverage to just get creative and go all out.
Have your kids seen it yet, or?
Angry Birds? I haven't seen it yet.
It's pretty
Not
good.
the full film, yeah. I've seen bits and pieces, and what I've seen has been incredible. But, my 5-year-old can't wait to see it. My 2-year-old, I'm not sure. She hasn't seen a movie in a movie theater yet, and there's good reason for that because she's a monster. So I'm like convinced that if I make this the first movie, it'll traumatize the both of us to the point that it's like bringing a dog on a plane who's never been on a plane before. I'm just worried that it'll backfire completely. So we'll see how that goes. We'll see. I haven't decided yet.
Can I ask a mommy question?
No, you can't unless he lets you.
Mama Mitch, go ahead.
All right. What if you have a child that wants to be an actor? As a parent, what would you tell your children of how to pursue their dreams?
I'll only tell you what my mom told me. And to each their own. But along the way, there were many moments and opportunities that presented themselves where I wanted to pursue it professionally before I graduated college. And my mom made sure that that was not something that I did. And that worked for me. I mean, she encouraged and put me in situations to learn and grow as an actor, but she never allowed it to take over my childhood. And so that sort of balancing act of allowing yourself to really find this passion and hone your skill, for me that was great, but also the education that I was able to get over the course of high school through college I wouldn't trade it for the world. In college, my friend Josh Groban, who was in my class, left freshman year. And I remember calling my parents and being like, but this guy's going, and he's like an opera singer or something. I want to go too. And they were like, well, no, you're going to finish. You're going to get a diploma. And some people, that's not right for them. Some people are like, I see this kid from The Room, who I'm like, God bless him for pursuing it so young, because it's like we're all the more grateful for having him on screen. But I've seen the flip side of that, so you got to just be careful. And if a kid is passionate about it, I would say, based on your own parental guidance, see what's right for you and them, and help strike that balance for them.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, everybody.
Have a great one.
You too.
Thank you. No pictures of my butt on the way.
Oh yeah, that's.